Is the currency of democracy.
It's a strong claim.
It is. And to really get our heads around it, we'll follow the path the essay lays out. So, first we'll explore the origins, the essence of democracy. What does it even mean? Then we'll look at how information has shaped all these different interpretations over time.
Right, because it hasn't always meant the same thing.
Exactly. After that, we bring it to today, its contemporary significance, and finally we'll take a peek into, well, what the future might hold for information and democracy.
Sounds like a good roadmap.
Let's start right at the foundation then, the origin and essence. Our source brings up J.S. Mill's powerful statement.
Oh yeah, the one about listening.
That's the one. If all but one has a difference of opinion, we must listen, for the truth can emerge from anywhere.
It's such a fundamental point.
It really is. It's like a core defense mechanism, highlighting why we absolutely have to consider every piece of information, even from that lone voice, to stop any kind of tyranny taking hold.
And there's that really gripping real-world example in the essay that shows this perfectly. Raghuram Rajan.
Before he was famous, right?
Exactly. Just a, quote, common Indian man at the time, an economist with this incredibly in-depth analysis predicting the 2008 crash.
And no one listened initially.
No. His warnings were shunned, discarded. The essay even mentions them ending up in shredding machines.
Wow.
But then, when the bank started collapsing, well, suddenly everyone wanted to hear from him. His information, his insights could have prevented the whole catastrophe.
If only the discussion had been truly democratic back then.
Precisely. If they'd listened to that one dissenting voice.
It's a chilling reminder. And this idea isn't new, is it? The source takes us back further.
Yeah, ancient Greece. Aristotle.
Right. His view that common men working together can arrive at better decisions than philosophers in isolation.
It's about that collective wisdom.
Exactly. When you get diverse information coming in democratically from all over, it builds this strong foundation for what he called dialectics.
The art of discussion and debate.
Yeah. For Aristotle, deliberation and debate were the absolute heart and soul of a democracy.
So, thinking about this, let's pause for a moment. Think about a time you worked on a group project. Did hearing different ideas, maybe even conflicting ones, help create a better final outcome? What stands out to you about these early ideas of democracy?
And it's important to remember this isn't just a Western concept.
Good point.
Amartya Sen, in his book Argumentative Indian, points to ancient Indian traditions too, like the debates between Gargi and Yajnavalkya in the Upanishads,
Okay.
or the Bodhisattvas and Samhitas, these ancient assemblies.
So democratic traditions there too.
Absolutely. These traditions really valued, as the essay puts it, individual experiences flowing through a network of capillaries in society. They saw this as the groundwork for genuinely informative and intellectually stimulating discussions.
It's not just voting then, it's this whole ecosystem of sharing ideas.
That's it.
So if you boil it all down,
Yeah.
the core essence seems to be that each one of us gets an equal chance to be heard. And it's fascinating how this connects to a philosophical idea from Jainism called anakontvada.
How does that fit in?
Well, the idea is basically that each one of us carries our own perspectives and versions of the same truth.
Ah, so truth isn't just one fixed thing.
Exactly. It makes information itself fluid and dynamic. And that's why, considering all those different viewpoints is so valuable, there are many angles.
Bringing that to modern times.
Yeah.
Democracies often protect this, right? Like with the right to freedom of speech and expression.
Yes, like Article 19 in the Indian Constitution, which the source mentions.
And the source points out this right has a kind of dual nature.
Right. It's not just the right to speak, it's also the right to an informed opinion, so access to information.
Okay.
And it's the right to be heard before the conclusion of any trial, ensuring fairness.
That dual protection really makes democracy substantive, doesn't it? Gives it real weight.
It does, and India took it further, recognizing the right to information as a statutory right, a legal entitlement.
Which empowers people more directly.
Exactly. It's empowered citizens, made government more transparent, and really deepened democracy. So, like the essay says, these modern-day experiments keep creating slightly different notions of democracy because each experiment reveals different information, different needs.
Okay, so information enables democracy. But now let's get into how it actually shapes its definition, its different interpretations.
Right, how people see it differently based on the info they have.
The source quotes Miner here. Every thinker is a child of his times, as the prevailing situations shape the conclusions derived by one.
That makes sense. Our context shapes our views.
Totally. Which leads to our next question for you, the listener. Have you ever thought about how your personal experiences, or maybe just the news you happen to see, shape your views on big ideas, like justice or freedom. How might someone from a totally different background see those things differently?
It's a really important reflection, and we see this play out clearly when we compare different leaders' visions of democracy.
Like Gandhi and Marx.
Exactly. Gandhi's vision, based on his information about the needs of the Indian masses, was about spiritual and physical mobilization, strengthening village republics for Ram Raja, promoting youth skills for Swaraj, self-rule, just governance.
A very specific path based on his understanding.
Right. Contrast that with Karl Marx. He also wanted a classless society, but his information led him to believe violent methods were needed because, in his view, capitalists exploit workers.
Same goal, totally different methods based on different information sets.
Precisely.
And here's another really interesting contrast the source brings up. J.L. Nehru and Sunderlal Bahuguna.
Two very different figures in India's history.
Nehru championed heavy industrialization. Why? Because his information focused on the centuries of drain of wealth under colonial rule. He saw industrialization as the way to rebuild.
Rapid economic growth was the priority based on that info.
But then you have Sunderlal Bahuguna, the driving force behind the Chipko Andolan, the movement to save trees.
Hugging trees to protect them.
Yes. His information, his lived experience, led him to the belief that ecology is permanent economy, a completely different view of progress.
It really shows how information isn't just fuel for democracy, it's the currency used to define what democracy is, what progress even looks like.
Definitely. But now, let's talk about, well, the flip side, the challenges.
Because we're living in the age of information overload, right?
Exactly. The internet, social media, the essay calls it a problem of plenty. So, does this sound familiar to you? Do you ever just feel completely overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information coming at you online?
I think most people do. The WHO's chief scientist, Soumya Swaminathan, even coined a term for it during the pandemic, infodemic.
Infodemic, I like that.
Yeah. The problem wasn't a lack of information about COVID, it was an excess of it. So much noise, so much contradiction, it actually created serious health concerns. People couldn't figure out what was reliable.
There's that stark example from the U.S. during the pandemic.
Oh, right. Who do you believe?
Yeah. Americans did not know whom to believe: Dr. Fauci, who recommended perpetual use of masks, or President Trump, who called the virus a farce.
That contradiction and sheer volume just paralyzed people, made informed decisions almost impossible.
That's alarming.
And it leads to this really critical question the source raises. If information, the very foundation of democracy, is now potentially becoming a cause for its decline, what does that mean for our future?
Heavy stuff.
It is. The essay points out the challenges for the survival of democracy in its pure sense. Things like alleged government misuse of citizen data, like the Pegasus snooping diaries,
Right.
and big tech firms kind of shrugging off all responsibility when democratic elections get tampered with through information manipulation, like the Cambridge Analytica scandal.
It really makes you question the integrity of the whole system when the currency itself is so easily messed with.
Exactly.
So, where do we go from here? Let's talk about the future. The source introduces this idea. Data is the new oil.
Ah, yes. Data as the refined version of information.
Exactly. It's the organized and filtered stage of information.
Great.
Structured, processed.
And with, Industry 4.0, AI, big data, analytics, these tools have totally revolutionized the essence of information.
Making data incredibly valuable.
Absolutely. Which makes Harry Truman's old advice even more relevant today. Trust, but verify. We have to be so critical now.
And this is where democracy gets a new vital job description, isn't it?
According to the source, yes. Responsible use of information is the prerogative of democracies now to ensure right to privacy to persons.
So protecting privacy becomes a core democratic function.
It has to be. The essay suggests we're entering an era where democracy itself needs to be the currency that tames this flood of information. The safeguard.
A crucial balancing act.
It is. The source mentions India's tryst with destiny back in 47, aiming for that society where the mind is without fear and the head is held high.
That feels really relevant now with global fears about Orwellian tendencies.
Definitely. Pervasive surveillance, control. It's a real concern. The essay suggests that if J.S. Mill were around today, he'd be arguing for the same principles protecting free thought and expression to prevent a new kind of tyranny. The tyranny of information.
Wow. That's a powerful thought to transition with. Let's move to our second deep dive now, which focuses inwards on personal growth.
A different kind of evolution.
Exactly. The statement is, A self that goes on changing is a self that goes on living.
I love that phrasing.
Me too. This essay invites us to explore how change is, well, the only constant, why we need to adapt to survive, how ideas themselves evolve, and, crucially, why change is so important right now in the 21st century.
Where do we start with this one?
The essay kicks off with a really inspiring personal story, Sudhamurthy.
Ah, yes, from Infosys.
Right. Born to a teacher, she learned about compassion early on, married Narayan Murthy, and as Infosys grew, they used that wealth, that platform, for social good.
The essay mentions her work fighting things like the Devadasi system.
Yes, working in the spirit of a karma yogi, finding purpose through selfless action, adapting her approach as needed. She became this incredible force for change.
And it's fascinating how her willingness to change herself, her methods, her perspective, allowed her to create such impact.
Very effective.
Exactly. The essay links it to the Gandhian dream of oceanic circles of empowerment. One small positive change radiating outwards, her legend lives on because of that adaptability and impact.
So let's unpack the core idea here. The essay states it very simply. Change is the law of nature.
Everything's in motion.
Right. The universe is constantly moving, nothing ever static. So if everything around us is changing, doesn't that make it essential for us to change too?
It seems unavoidable. And it links directly to Darwin, right? Survival of the fittest.
The ones who adapt survive.
Exactly. Those who adapt go on living. Those who are rigid perish. The essay calls this the foundation of the Earth's evolution, but also the fulcrum, the very core of our individual lives.
And we see this principle just incredibly illustrated in the story of Helen Keller.
Such a powerful example.
Losing her sight and hearing at just 19 months old, her life was this lifelong journey of change, as the source puts it, constantly learning and unlearning to become the icon she was.
Her indomitable spirit, which does not bow down to its own rigidity. It's pure resilience.
It really is.
Yeah.
Which brings us to another question for you. Can you think of a time in your life when you had to adapt significantly, maybe to overcome a challenge or reach a goal? What did you learn about yourself in that process of change?
That kind of reflection is powerful. And that spirit of embracing necessary change echoes in Martin Luther King Jr.'s words.
The Be a Bush quote.
That's the one. Be a bush if you can't be a tree, for it isn't by size that you win or fail. Be the best of whatever you are.
Adapting to your circumstances, being your best self within them.
Exactly. MLK Jr., as a crusader of the civil rights movement, fully embraced the changes that a new dawn of equality demanded, and his legacy continues. His followers keep embracing change with movements like Black Lives Matter.
So it's not just individuals adapting, but foundational ideas too, like civil rights. They have to evolve to survive and stay relevant.
Absolutely. Think about India's struggle for independence under the British Raj.
Okay?
First, you had moderates like Raja Ram Mohan Roy trying diplomacy, appealing to the British sense of justice.
Which didn't work.
Right. So then came the extremists asserting violent methods. But then Gandhi emerged with a totally new method of regime change.
Ahimsa and satyagraha.
Yeah.
Nonviolence and truth force.
Yes. And that method resonated with the masses, adapted to this situation, and ultimately led to independence. The secret, the essay suggests, for immortal ideas is their ability to change, to refine, to evolve their methods while holding on to core principles.
That's a fascinating way to look at it. And we see this in economics too, right? The essay talks about liberalism.
Yeah, the peculiar survival of liberalism, starting way back with Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations classical liberalism.
Minimal government, free markets.
Right. But then the Great Depression hit. That model wasn't working, so it had to adapt.
Into modern liberalism.
With government stepping in, welfare expenditure to kickstart things, but then that system faced issues corruption and red tapeism.
So it changed again.
Into neoliberalism, market fundamentalism, which helped corporates grow but also led to huge inequalities. The source cites that Oxfam report 1% owning over 40% of global wealth.
A major side
A
effect.
huge one. But liberalism didn't die. It adapted again into social liberalism, with economists like Amartya Sen pushing for capability development.
Investing in people health, education.
Exactly, to ensure the gains are shared more broadly. So the core lesson here, an idea that changes when challenged but keeps its core principles, is an idea that goes on living. It adapts.
Okay, let's bring this right up to the present day, the 21st century. Kofi Annan called our challenges problems without passport.
Climate change, pandemics, they don't care about borders.
Exactly. And this century, the essay argues, requires meticulous forethought to bring sustainable changes. We need conscious adaptation.
And the pandemic was the ultimate sudden example of this global borderless change, wasn't it?
Absolutely. A tiny virus changed the way we had known the world. Overnight, practically.
Global lockdowns, incredible adaptation, wearing masks, working from home, reforming distance learning.
And most importantly, staying connected, even when physically apart.
It forced change on a massive scale. Thinking back on that sudden shift, how quickly did you have to adapt to the changes brought by the pandemic? What was the most challenging part for you? And maybe what felt surprisingly natural in that adaptation?
And this digital transformation, accelerated by the pandemic, just keeps rolling, doesn't it?
For sure, social media.
The source says it has redefined our lives. Virtual reunions, the online world changing how we socialize forever.
But there's a caution there too.
Yes, we have to embrace it responsibly to avoid challenges like the silent pandemic of mental health breakdowns. Adapt intelligently.
And economically too, adaptation is key. E-commerce, for example, has forced even traditional Kirana stores, those small neighborhood shops, to adapt or risk fading away. It's survival of the fittest playing out again.
So how do we navigate all this constant change successfully?
The essay suggests a powerful tool, Atma Nireekshan.
Self-reflection.
Yes, or like doing a personal SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. It helps us match external changes with internal progressions.
Understanding ourselves in relation to the changing world.
Exactly. Understanding ourselves, others, and the course of life. That's how we can become karma yogis, like Sudhamurthy, working purposefully within the change.
And contribute to that bigger picture.
The civilizational endeavor of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family, adapting together.
It all comes back to that internal compass, that willingness to change. The source closes with those powerful lines from W.E. Henley's poem Invictus.
I am the master of my fate.
I am the captain of my soul. A self that embraces that, embraces change, and truly goes on living. It's about self-determination through adaptation.
A great way to frame it.
Okay, that was a lot. Let's quickly pull together the main threads from both deep dives. A quick recap to help lock in those key insights.
Sounds good. So, from information is the currency of democracy. We started with how crucial diverse information is. Thinkers like Mill, examples like Rajan, Aristotle, Amartya Sen, they all showed that hearing many voices is fundamental.
And ideas like anaconda fodder and rights like freedom of speech and information are the mechanisms for that.
Exactly. But then we saw the flip side. The infodemic, potential misuse of data like Pegasus, election manipulation like Cambridge Analytica, too much or wrongly used information is dangerous.
So the future requires critical thinking.
Trust but verify, and democracy itself needs to step up, act as the currency to tame information, protect privacy, and safeguard truth.
Got it. And the second essay.
A self that goes on changing is a self that goes on living. We saw through Sudhamurthy how personal change creates those wider ripples.
Change is the law of nature.
Right. Essential for survival of the fittest. Helen Keller's resilience, MLK Jr.'s call for transformation, powerful examples.
And we saw how big ideas, too, must evolve. Indian independence strategies, liberalism. They adapt to stay relevant.
Then we brought it to the 21st century. Pandemics, social media, constant change. And the tool for navigating it, Atma Nireekshan, self-reflection.
That internal compass for mastering our fate.
Exactly.
And you really see how these two connect, don't you?
Absolutely.
Information shapes our world, our understanding. It drives how we adapt.
And our ability to change, to be flexible, allows us to use that information effectively, responsibly, especially in democracy.
It's all about growth, isn't it? Individual and collective growth, fueled by thoughtful engagement.
Well said.
And that wraps up our deep dive for today. We really hope you enjoyed exploring these rich ideas with us.
Hope you feel a bit more well-informed and maybe see things a little differently.
Ready to tackle the day.
So, considering how vital reliable information is for democracy and how crucial continuous change is for growth, here's a final thought for you to mull over.
Okay.
What single significant change, driven by more transparent and verified information, do you believe would have the most profound positive impact? Maybe on your local community or even, the world right now?
Something to think about. Keep those thoughts brewing. Keep that curiosity alive.
Definitely.
We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into the ideas shaping our world.